A couple years ago, I was consulting with this immigration firm in Miami, and we had many clients immigrating into the US, getting different types of visas, and I would consult with them on the pre-immigration tax planning portion of it. Once you move to the US and become a tax resident, you're taxed on your worldwide income. They have these foreign companies and these foreign assets, and they're like, I don't want to pay tax on all my income that I earned from my legacy companies just because I want to live in the US for like 5 years. There's a way to move to the US and be a non-resident and pay no taxes. And it works. They come in on a student visa. If you're a student visa, your days in the US don't count towards your substantial presence test, your residency. So as long as you're here, you can go to a community college, get start a class schedule to learn English and get a student visa. You're in on an F1 visa. You can just live in the US, kind of indirectly manage. There's a lot of gray area, and I'm going to go over some this report that I read, and I'm actually going to share it with you because I thought it was awesome. But you can indirectly manage your international stuff and not pay any taxes at all in the US. Now, on a student visa, you can only do this for like 5 years. You become a resident and you have to pay taxes in the US, so it doesn't work forever, but it works for up to 5 years. So if you wanted to come to the US, live your life how you want, pay no taxes, then you can do this. There's a couple caveats. The first caveat, capital gains, if you have brokerage accounts and you're investing in brokerages, stocks in the US specifically, those are subject to a 30% tax. So you actually have to pay tax on your stock investments. So probably before you come to the US, open a holding company and have that invest in the stocks. Like, there's a way to get around it, but when you're day trading a personal account living in the US, that's subject to tax. It's a very tricky little nuanced portion, but if you Google search it, you'll find it on the IRS website. And I mentioned this in one of my last couple of videos. And the other thing is you can't like have a job. Generally, this is the best for people who are doing stuff online, starting something, working on something, and it's a little bit of a gray area. And I want to share my screen and go to this really cool report. There's this cool article from 2012 from Michael Mastman, but this is really cool. Like, it's a classic story. An ambitious non-citizen enters without inspection, or a student overstays a student visa and they start a business and they're not, they're working and they're not eligible to work in the US. I have clients, and I'm going to make a full video about this with an immigration attorney. We're going to go into it in great detail. When you're on a student visa, you're not permitted to work in the US. Generally, they're referring to like a W-2 job, like a job for another company. You can't work as an employee for someone, but like working on the internet for yourself, developing your own business, building websites, doing marketing, making YouTube videos, maybe making some money from it. Are you allowed to do that as a student? If you wanted to come in here and hustle and do that, like I said, it's a gray area. This article is really cool. It's super long, well-researched. It's not that old. It's from 2012. And I'm going to go over it in more detail. Subscribe to the channel because I'm going to go over it in more detail with my favorite immigration attorney, my buddy Joaquin. But I'm going to read the conclusion with you here. IRCA prohibits hiring unauthorized aliens for employment. Nevertheless, the prohibition is narrow, likely applying to employees in the everyday sense of the word, the people who provide services in return for wages. It does not prevent an undocumented immigrant from owning a business or providing services to it. OCAHOW has referred, I don't know what that is, it's some organization, referred to employment law in the past to determine workers under IRCA. It is likely to do so again. As Congress debates comprehensive reforms to the immigration laws, it should clarify that hire for employment does not refer to business owners. And what it looks like is kind of what I said. Like, you can work on your own stuff, you just can't work for someone else. So if you want to come to the US and pay zero taxes, call the community college in the city where you want to go and apply to go to school there, get an F1 visa, and come on in for no more than 5 years and enjoy paying no taxes and living in the US. You can only do it for 5 years, so pick your time and see if you like it before you pursue that E2 visa or that EB2 or any of those other visas. Come test it out and see if you like it. It's not necessarily that expensive, especially compared to other visas. You just have to pay for a community college tuition, and it does have some costs, but as it says, you can still kind of work for yourself even though you're not actually allowed to work in the US. The taxes are just as confusing. What you earn in the US is technically subject to tax, but how to prove what you earned is a really nuanced topic. So when we're talking about income taxes on this, like, your days don't count as residents, so you're not technically in the US, but you are technically kind of earning it while you're in the US. There's just so much nuance, there's so much disconnection that you can it's case by case, but you can definitely come to the U.S. and pay no taxes if you do it the right way. If you're considering doing this, you can schedule a call with me or my team in the description below, jamesbakercpa.com/schedule, and I'd love to help you out. And I hope this was something interesting or new for you. I think it's really interesting how people do it, and I'd love to see your comments or questions below. Let me know if you've done this or you've tried this before, you're interested in it. Okay, thanks for being here. I'll see you on the next one.